Today we're going to continue our studies into the human body, and we're going to be talking about the respiratory and circulatory systems today. But before we do that, let's review just a bit about what we've talked about. So remember that we are organized, believe it or not. Well, at least our bodies are. So the main levels of organization are your cells, which is the basic unit of life, that building block. Tissues, which are clusters of cells that perform a similar function. Organs, those are made of tissues that perform one specific function. And then when you've got multiple organs put together, groups of organs, those are organ systems that perform a specific purpose in the body. And we're going to be talking about the respiratory and circulatory systems today. All right, so looking here at this picture, we have 3 levels of organization that's present within our body. And just so you all know, this organism here is the small intestine. So, can you identify and label the 3 levels of organization that are shown here? All right, so if you said cell, tissue, and organ, you were correct. So let's review what the human body systems that we've covered already, because remember, our central question is, what is the relationship between the major systems of the human body and their function necessary for life? So, last week we talked about the skeletal and the muscular systems. The skeletal system's function is to provide structure and support the body and protect the internal organs. It also produces or makes red blood cells. This is very important. This is a question you all missed quite a bit on our quick check. So make sure that you store in your brain that the skeletal system also makes and produces red blood cells. And the parts of the system, the main parts that we're going to focus on are bones such as the skull, the spine, and the ribs, because the skull protects our brain, the spine protects our spinal cord, and our ribs protect our lungs and our heart, which we'll be talking about today, our lungs and heart. And the muscular system helps our body move. So the 2 types of muscles that we covered were voluntary and involuntary. So today, as I said before, we're going to be covering the respiratory and circulatory system, and by the end of the lesson, you should have filled out the next 2 rows in the chart that you have put into your science notebook. All right.
Systems of the human body.
The respiratory system. The respiratory system is in charge of breathing. Through the nose or mouth, we obtain oxygen, which passes through the pharynx, larynx, and trachea to the lungs. In the lungs, oxygen is exchanged for carbon dioxide. The red blood cells are responsible for carrying oxygen to all parts of the body. Carbon dioxide is a harmful substance that we have to eliminate from our body by going back out the way it came in from the lungs to the nose or mouth. Carbon dioxide is eliminated from the body without us even realizing it.
Respiratory system, its purpose is to provide the body with a fresh supply of oxygen for cellular respiration so that your cells can breathe and remove the waste product, carbon dioxide, from our bodies. So the major organs that are in the respiratory system are your nose and your pharynx, okay? And your nose is where the air enters and exits your body. The pharynx serves as a passageway for both food and air at the back of your throat. The larynx is your voice box, and as air passes over your vocal cords, you speak. And your trachea is your windpipe, or what connects your pharynx to your lungs. A piece of skin called the epiglottis covers the trachea when you swallow, preventing food from entering. Your bronchi are two large passageways that lead from the trachea to your lungs. You have one bronchi for each lung. The bronchi are further subdivided into bronchioles. And then the bronchioles they lead to tiny air sacs called alveoli, which are clustered together like grapes. And then capillaries surrounding each alveolus is where the exchange of gases with the blood occurs. So this is where your respiratory and your circulatory system meet at the capillaries. The diaphragm is your muscle that is kind of in between like in the middle, underneath where your rib cages are. And that is the muscle that causes you to breathe. And when we have hiccups, that's an involuntary contractions of the diaphragm. Which is why some people say, like, if you hold your breath, it helps to stabilize it. It works for some people and not for all. So here is an image of the respiratory system. And if you want to pause your video here, there is the function and the major organs for the body system, or closer to the end, I will have my chart filled out and you can pause your video at that point. So now we're going to talk about the circulatory system.
Systems of the human body.
The circulatory system. The circulatory system transports nutrients and oxygen through the whole body, thanks to blood through our veins, arteries, capillaries, and the heart, which is the main organ in this system. The heart pumps blood without oxygen and waste through the arteries to the lungs, where it expels waste and collects oxygen and nutrients needed by cells. Oxygenated blood passes through the heart and is pumped into the organs through the arteries. The organs receive the oxygenated blood and return it without oxygen, but with waste that goes back to the heart, which then pumps it to the lungs, where it picks up oxygen and expels the waste.
Okay, so that was a quick recap of the circulatory system. But this video goes a little bit more in depth, and it kind of ties in our respiratory and circulatory system together because they work hand in hand. So here we go.
Woo! I win! Feel my heart. It's beating so fast, I think it might jump right out of my chest. Well, Speedy, when you run so fast, your heart has to work overtime. I think I'm doing plenty of work here, Zoe. Let's not give my heart all the credit. It deserves the credit. The harder your body works, the faster your heart has to pump blood, oxygen, and nutrients through your blood vessels. Well, isn't that my heart's job? Sorta. It's your whole circulatory system's job. Your heart and blood vessels transport the materials your body needs and eliminate waste, such as carbon dioxide. How exactly does the heart work? It's kind of complicated, but I'll try to explain. Your heart is a muscle about the size of your fist. It's divided into a left side and a right side called chambers. Each chamber has an atrium and a ventricle. Do the different sides do different things? Yep. The right side of the heart takes in blood from the body that has no oxygen. Blood flows into the right atrium through a vein called the vena cava. You should know, veins are blood vessels that always move blood toward the heart. That blood enters the vena cava and goes through the right ventricle. Then it heads out through an artery called the main pulmonary artery. It's the pathway to the lungs. So, blood that needs oxygen comes in through the right side of the heart and gets pumped into the lungs? Exactly. The blood flows away from the heart through the pulmonary artery and into the lungs. Do arteries always carry blood away from the heart? Definitely. Arteries away! Just like veins are one-way roads back to the heart, your arteries take your blood away to all the different body parts that need it. First stop, the lungs. There, the blood picks up oxygen when we inhale and gets rid of carbon dioxide, waste, when we exhale. When the blood has picked up oxygen, it flows back up into the left side of the heart. It even carries nutrients throughout our body. So the left side of the heart controls the blood with the oxygen. Yes, blood with oxygen enters the left side of the heart through the pulmonary vein. The pulmonary vein is the only vein that carries oxygen-rich blood. This oxygen-rich blood flows through the pulmonary vein into the left side of the heart and then gets pumped out to the rest of the body through the aorta, the largest artery in the body. Talk about going with the flow, right? There's just one more teeny tiny thing you need to know about. What's that? Capillaries. Capillaries are the tiniest blood vessels, but they've got a pretty big job. They carry the oxygen and nutrients from arteries into the tissues and carry waste and leftover junk from the tissues to the veins. That is a big job for something so tiny. It is, but big or small, the circulatory system's parts are all super important. The heart, veins, arteries, and capillaries all work together to create a circulatory system symphony. So I guess my heart does deserve a lot of credit if it does all that. The heart is a pretty complicated organ with lots of parts. And together with the blood vessels, it makes up the circulatory system. The circulatory system has to be complex because it transports needed materials and eliminates wastes. I guess you can't beat that. I guess not. But you know what I can beat? You at another race. Hey, no fair! You got a head start.
All right, guys, so our circulatory system, or it's also known as our cardiovascular system, you may see it both ways, so you may want to write that in your notes, that the circulatory system is also called the cardiovascular system. And its purpose is to deliver oxygenated blood to various cells and organ systems throughout your body so that they can undergo cellular respiration. So each of your individual cells have to breathe. Remember, they have to be able to do those 6 basic functions of life. The major organs of the circulatory system are the heart, and the heart is the major muscle of the circulatory system. It pumps blood through its 4 chambers, 2 ventricles and 2 atria. It pumps deoxygenated blood into the lungs, where it gets oxygenated. It's returned to the heart and then pumped out through the aorta to the rest of the body. Your valves regulate the flow of blood between the chambers. We also have arteries that carry blood away from the heart into the major organs of the body, and your veins carry blood back to the heart, away from the major organs of the body. Capillaries are tiny, tiny blood vessels where gas exchange occurs, and then your blood is the cells that flow through the circulatory system. You have red blood cells, which contain hemoglobin, which is an iron-rich protein that carries oxygen. You have white blood cells, and they function in the immune system. They will keep us healthy and fight any type of pathogens or infections that may enter our body. And then our platelets help in blood clotting. So again, you can pause the video here, or you can wait until the very end of the video and pause at the chart that I have filled in. So what is the function of the circulatory system? It is that the heart contracts or pumps. Every time the heart contracts blood cells, it moves blood that doesn't continuously flow because it only pulses when the heart pumps. So your circulatory system moves the blood, which carries your nutrients and oxygen throughout your body. What are the major organs of the circulatory system? You have your heart, your blood, your vessels, which are your arteries and your veins. And here is our chart. So if you want to pause here, if you haven't already, this is the information that you need to remember, that you need to study, so that you are prepared to discuss the human body systems in the future at our live lesson tomorrow. All right, guys, if you have not already, please make sure that you go to the Flipgrid for the toilet paper design challenge. The flip code is TP2020, or you can click on the link that is in your agenda for today And you need to post your design under either one of these three categories: most artistic, most useful, or most fun. The videos will be voted on this afternoon by Early College East, so if your video is not posted, then you will not have an opportunity to be a winner in this competition. All right, guys. Message me if you have any questions.